Buenos noches, Universal. It is the 13th of July. And here we sit at 8:04 p.m. And mission accomplished on executing that Golden Goat Super Lemon Haze. Aaron and I've taken one dab of each, so I'm honestly pretty exhausted at this point because really I haven't slept since, well, the last time I got sleep would have been Thursday. Yeah, sometime Thursday, whenever. Which is when you do these night work schedule flip-flops, going 48 hours without sleep actually has become pretty routine. But at the end of 48 or 50 hours or 60 hours, whatever you end up doing, you're pretty tired no matter what you do. But since Golden Goat and Super Lemon Haze are supposed to be two of the counteragents to said fatigue, well, I'm going to go Dabberoonie. Did I just about say Dabberoonie? Like Ned Flanders? Bueno. No bueno. Or C, all of the above? Or D, none of the above? Or why are we talking about Ned Flanders? This is copyright infringement if I had to guess. So backing out of this particular parking space, am I? To go look for some public parking. I'll be right back. Pause. Okay. It is a little spooky how easily I can suck down 12 ounces of sugar-fused Sandia sweet watermelon soda, naturally flavored, but inspired by tradition, because what cliche can we throw on the can to make you buy this little pink deluge of sugar and sweetness? Well, for me, you could do nothing but just tell me it's $1 cheaper and I'll be over there right now and grab another 12-pack. But love it I do. So what happened to Diet Mountain Dew? Maybe it was the sweetener. Finally I OD'd on the sweetener. And the natural sugar now tastes so much better. Hey, you can get 10 cents in Michigan for this can. Or Oregon. Which one would I rather go to? Well, this time of year, neither. But why am I talking about Michigan and Oregon when I got on to talk about a lot of other things, including, I don't know that there's any advice that I can give 20-somethings that hasn't already been published on Yahoo 115 times, and even on YouTube more than that. So if you're going to seek the advice of anyone, the best advice to follow is simple. Whatever it is that you really think you're here to do it. Just do it. And I don't care if that's botany. I don't care if that's cross-stitch. I don't care if that's pedicures. I don't care if that's receiving pedicures. Whatever it is that literally ignites your inner self is all you need to pursue. And the best thing about listening to those motives, or do you listen to the motivations? Or do you heed the motivations while you're listening to your motive? Is the motive the reason that you murdered the butler with the candlestick in the hallway? Probably. But beyond motivations are actions, doings, the physical enjoyment of adventuring into a space that is tantalizing or in any other way tempting you from within. And so if you're hyper-organized and extremely meticulous with language and like solitary time, well, of course, everyone in the universe is going to tell you to become a programmer. But maybe you should be a golf instructor. Because the herd, the mentality of the mass, the by default option, is an option that a lot of people, even if fitting initially, will find too routine, too structured, too exactly what they expected including all the shortcomings, if not more, to be satisfying. And perhaps women's volleyball coach isn't the kind of career path that at 17 looks like something of interest. But if you're into athletics and you're extremely and you enjoy the role of inspiring others, if you are tactically minded, and if in some way, shape, or form you can stand the hierarchy of NCAA athletic employment, well, to limit yourself to, say, only the golf instructor positions or only the women's lacrosse team and not to look at the volleyball team. I mean, the world, is filled with burps, but the world is truly filled with opportunities for people who are willing to think through the avalanche of possibility, not the narrow ski run of Black Diamond double moguls that is standing right in front of you, that looks like perhaps the only path, and quite a treacherous path at that, of pursuit. Because if I'm going into coaching, I mean, it's the USFL, or I ain't fucking going. If all you'll look at is off-brand other season football, well, Arena League development team, here you come. Right? He hate me. The guy who ends up with he hate me on his jersey catching balls inside the Portland Rose Garden does not necessarily see that pursuit athletically at 9, but he is making a living as a professional athlete in America in what I would assume are the early 90s, mid 90s maybe. And doing so with the sort of imprint that here in 2023, on the 13th of August at 8:12 p.m., I'm speaking of him. So inspired by his dedication to accepting his possibilities, am I. And in thinking about what has muted the outlook for young men more than anything, other than a failing education and push to work through infrastructure improvement programs that are desperately needed countrywide, other than the military, which, as a default option, I can see why a lot of guys look that way. What the fuck else can you look at? But if you're not looking there, and you're not looking into tech, and you're not looking into the high finance / other industry level jobs that are rare but attainable, medical, pharmaceutical, insurance, wherever you want to take your MBA and fucking slaughter the human race and the soul alongside of it. If you're that kind of person, and you do end up in the CIA, assigned to listen to this, and just woke up because you're like, I think I heard CIA. Well, I feel for you the most because you were brought into a world where you had everything honed. You were literally ready to master and overwhelm the situation with your adroit approach to every encounter that would stumble any other entity in the universe. This was your paradigm in which to shine. And what are you left with? A fucking manipulated curtain show of a farce of a simulation that just is about oil and goddamn paper money. And all the power and the hell on earth that you can aspire to watch humans go through. I mean, Just, ugh. Ready for fucking AC/DC pinball, and what'd you end up with? Gophers, or whatever that other awful pinball machine is. Haunted house. Black hole. Anything with the gimmicky upside down inside tables. Oh! So, here you are, playing a game where you're still razor sharp. I mean, you're so sharp you see the fucking charades. And I'm sure I've signed off in some disinterested level of, well, at least I got my pina coladas and my Cabana Boys, or whatever it is that makes you feel like you're Murray Head. It's your night in Bangkok, and now's your opportunity to say, what if I actually did something with all this game I've got? Not continue with the same tumbleweed of an existence that I've already resigned to. What if I just stepped out of it? What if I made my reality a completely different, shockingly inventive vector? What if I went and taught English as a second language to African immigrants? What if I just became something so 180 from myself that all of my skills were put back into play? Because I'd be navigating an entirely new frame of mind. What would you contribute? What would the world see from you then? I don't know where you are if you're lost, but I know what it feels like to think, I guess this is what it is. It is what it is. And to resign yourself to that feels almost like the victory that's there to be had. I guess the way you win life is to be able to handle that it's just a pile of shit. And if you bring enough rug deodorizer, well, who gives a damn how much barf's on the carpet? Who can really smell it anyway? Not humans with our limited sense of what's going on. So now that I know that I'm just some 5, 6, 7 sense entity of collapsed purpose and capability, well, fuck yeah, I want my pina colada. And there better be 3 or 4 boys in my cabana. Because what else am I pushing for? I push myself into a situation where I don't even recognize the successes I'm told I've achieved. I certainly don't feel that way. But life's a pile of shit, right? What am I going to do about it? I ain't here to fix life. I'm just here to endure it. And next round, well, maybe I'll endure it with a little more fucking luxury. Maybe I could be born into a better situation next time. Not into this world full of brimstone and fire. Well, to me, that was the wake-up call. The idea that the only sensible literature that foretold a truth of any semblance to what we're in was the one book I rejected out of hand, dismissed with no problem. The Bible is the book we keep in every motel room because people read that thing or they just like to have it around in case there's a fire, it gives them something to save. I don't know. I mean, you could have put The Cat in the Hat Comes Back. I might have read that once or twice, but I never once picked up the Bible. Not in one motel room, not in one hotel room, never once in my life. Except in churches as a courtesy to whatever service I might be experiencing for some other entity other than my family or me. So, that little prop of human disgrace foretold the future with with alarming accuracy. And to me, that means that there is no more time to think about what it is you could be doing, but to start doing what you're here to do. There can't be this much overlap of energetic forces in a pattern of confluence, time and space that is all headed to a single occurrence without your role mattering. Even if it matters that your role is mattering more than the Matterhorn. Is mattering a word? Mattering. It's mattering to me. I don't know. It sounds wrong. But question the little parts of yourself that maybe you can polish up, like your vocabulary. But keep the energetic purpose in line. I'm here to better the world by supporting others through whatever chaos they think they're feeling that makes them feel like they're not purposeful. Yes, you are. There's no denying it. There's only a level of obfuscation from that point of view that once realized can no longer be even remotely removed. You understand your purpose as you realize it. And then you're on a path to a completely different reality than the one you've been on. And at 20, I couldn't have listened to that. At 30, I would have thought it was nonsense. At 40, I would have heard it and thought, well, that's even worse advice than what I've been following. So at least someone out there is giving worse advice. Until at 50, it made sense. Because all the time that I had been listening to messages outside of myself, I thought I was going to stumble into the advice that would complete me in my unified vision of some sense of destiny in life. Failing at all of that, well, the world gave me a second chance to realize that the one big fail in life I had consistently applied across every year, all the time, was a fail to love myself. And in a position of decline, of frankly diminished returns, arguably having done less with more than anybody in the history of the universe, is when I figured out how to love myself. It's like a kid who brings home a report card that says, not only didn't pass, but must go 4 levels back and prove that there's even a semblance of foundation to have gotten to this point. Yeah. But once I saw the correct textbook, the instructors who actually had something to say, and started taking their lectures, well, I'm a fast learner. And I certainly can make up for lost time by helping others not repeat the same mistakes. Never doubt yourself. Never doubt your purpose. Never doubt you're here for a reason. And never doubt that loving yourself is the fundamental step to having the best ride on humanity that there is on planet Earth 8675309. And the only way to answer the questions that are inside of you about where you should be and what you should be doing is to listen to you. You're the only judge that matters. You're the only arbiter in your life that's ever going to give a shit as to what you do next and to how it could have worked out versus how it is working out. So what you think and what you decide to do is on you and up to you. Make it all work by doing one thing at a time that makes your life better, and watch how great a year you have, how great a life you have. It'll just keep working out. All right, now that I've talked about how to fucking win life, let's talk about, well, I have to put my dog down. If not this week, next week. And if it'll be this week if she puts me to it. But considering what I just cleaned up in my fucking other room, I don't think she can put me to worse than that. So I think I can handle the messes from here till next week. It's just, can she handle the lack of life in this, the dragging herself around? And she can't even really drag herself around now. I have to move her. And I move her by dragging her on her dog bed. And it's as bad as you think. But I really need Phoebe there for this week's launch of what I'm doing next. I don't think I can make this stage entrance into the universe of John doing what again? without at least one supportive life force with me. And for 12 years, that's exactly what she's been. So, it'd be really nice to have her endure one more week. 2 more weeks would be even better, but I'm being realistic about where we are. And the fact is, if it comes down to it tomorrow, the next day, whatever day it may come down to it, I am emotionally ready. Maybe not financially ready, which is a very huge bad dog owner moment on my part, but I'm financially capable of doing what's right. But I should be in a better spot so that I can have an even more pampered service if it were necessary. But for this particular outcome, all the time I've gotten to spend with Phoebe over the last 4.5 months, dedicated to making sure that as I knew her life was diminishing, I didn't spend one moment regretting the dog that I had for such a great run. She was the best dog I ever had. And that includes Max. Max was probably the most fun dog I ever had. But Millhouse would give Max a run for his money. But fuck, man, Max and a tennis ball and a tennis racket. You could hit a tennis racket from 30 yards away as hard as you could hit a tennis ball right at him. He'd fucking catch them all. And not even 30 yards, like 40, 50 feet. Whatever the distance is from my driveway up to my neighbor's garage, that was the distance he would stand. And I would once in a while smack one hard enough he'd miss it. But it would take a week and a half before I'd get one through. And some of the catches he'd make, just bam! Wow, good catch, bro. All right, no, enough dog nostalgia. Another, I think, resourceful point of, strength that I've drawn is the idea that you exist is special. Think about the fact that, what is it about you? You don't like onions. Or tall grass makes your knees itchy. Or there's a certain smell that is just mind-numbing to you. Or there is a taste that is just off-putting to you. Black licorice for me. There are things about you that you brought with you here. You're a you. You're unique. You have your composition sheet is not mine, nor is it anybody else's. It's just yours. I'm going to pause and get some composition sheet going on my golden goat here. Pause. And what I like about recognizing your thread of who you are, that is here, that you somewhat discover as your human suit interacts with the 3D reality that it is. Like black licorice is disgusting. Hot liquids are, but ice cold beverages, yummy. Whatever it is that makes you you wasn't chaos and colliding atoms composing themselves in this unique distribution to create this one-off that is you. No. This experience, this reckoning of time and space with your soul energy manifested as a human being has purpose because you're you. What you brought to the table is exactly what it's designed to be, to test this situation as it is now, as you. This fucked up, oh my God, what did we do with reality that we turned it into this mess where what are we really getting rewarded through feeling satisfied through life? The number of followers you have? I'm alarmed by the number of followers I have. And it's only 3 digits. That's too many. Nobody should be listening to me. And the idea that connections are available worldwide via the internet in a way that is uniquely encompassing doesn't necessarily make it more rewarding than having even a mediocre but front relationship with your neighbor. You're not supposed to just hoard people who are your posse. You're supposed to interact with all kinds of fucking jokers. And the best thing about interacting with the jokers is that somewhere in there, there's a thread of commonality. It just may take a month or a year to knuckle out. But you stick around long enough, and I swear, doesn't matter who, doesn't matter when, doesn't matter how the Earth is tilted, or which planet's warm and which planet's cold, or any of that shit. If you're a human being, and you interact with another human being, at some point, both of you will be there to support each other in need. It just is how it happens. Energies unfold that way. And it can be 179 degrees of opposite, constant fighting otherwise. But the connection will be made. And the world's better for it. Because that connection then reconnects energies across time and space as they ripple outward in what was otherwise considered impossible circumstance. Once that is overcome, again, making what feels impossible possible is a large part of why you're here. But it happens more behind our backs than it does in front of our faces, so it's hard to even notice. But just believing that doing everyday things in a way that suggests you're open to being helped and helping those in need allows all of those energies to find their way to you in time as needed, so long as your intent is actually valid. I know all this is stupid horseshit to talk about, but if you haven't heard stupid horseshit like that, I promise it's true. And I'm proving it through my own existence of somewhat misguided but always well-intended, purposeful motion forward. And motion forward into my pedals way too much. Man, I've injured my shins this summer beyond embarrassment. People actually ask me, what's wrong with your legs? Oh, I'm clumsy. And I fall into my pedals all the time, so they just rip my shins apart. And yeah, that's why I'm all scabbed up and bloody there. And I have, herpes of the shins. Yeah, it's a thing. Watch Family Guy. He explains it somewhere in there. Watch all the episodes. I can't remember which one, but it's in there. I'll finish with this, because I know I'm going to get back on and talk about whatever I got on to talk about, but I'm forgetting to talk about. But one of the problems with open mic comedy is the repetition. I know that the business of comedy depends on it, and that open mic nights are the initial platform on which the business of comedy is built, but it doesn't mean that the purpose of the open mic night has ever been about the business of comedy. It's about the business of creative expression, with the idea that we're here to express an uplifting look at the universe, not poetry slam, or however else you want to form your angst in a way other than express laughter. So, why can't my open mic night of Denver be localized to Denver only? If every time I get up I say something different, well, the people who repeatedly hear me will over time understand my whole point. Maybe my joke is 7,714 minutes long, and at 5 minutes per set across all of that time, well, I'm going to need about 25 years to finally get to the punchline. I don't need to be heard beyond the 4 to 40 people that show up for an open mic night in the Denver public area. That audience is already intimidating. The idea of filling an arena, you might be a redneck style? Well, I don't know. I hope I don't stumble into 5 words that all of a sudden make me have to repeat them for the next 15 years of my life. That sounds terrible. No, I think actually having the freedom of expression to get up and speak when you have something to say, but then have said it, and then have moved on to say the next thing, well, I guess 358 episodes into this, I've proven I can do that. Although I don't remember what I was talking about the self for, just to believe that it's there. The idea that we live separate lives, or that this life is recurring, or that we're living concurrent lives, something in there is very tangible and real. Which version of it, I don't know. But it again, it means that the fan of existence that it is to open up everything is to see a much bigger influence that you're having at the local level than you know. So having a self here that identifies as uniquely composed should be enough data for you to say, yeah, actually, I do exist. I did come here with predilections. So I guess that alone says I believe myself. And I love myself. Even though, until I really could say both of those were true, I thought they were true. They just weren't. So, if they seem like the default option that everybody must believe, yeah, then you don't love yourself. Because there's a separation from you and everybody else out there who's similarly placed in a position of, well, of course I love myself. Everybody does. Or except the ones that kill themselves. I assume that they don't love themselves. But the rest of us do, enough to stay here. So yeah, that's your attitude? Nope, you don't love yourself. You're convinced you're not worth it. How you're going to figure it out, I do not know. But you will figure it out. Because I did. And I was literally the absolute least likely candidate to get there. So if I did it, trust me, you will too. We all have confidence in you. Especially me.